What's up, DFS fans? My name is Ryan Kostrowski. This is the DFS 5-pack. It's Friday, the 1st of March. For all y'all guys getting off of work in a little bit, happy Friday. Weekend starts soon, so hopefully everybody has a great weekend. Lots of plans coming up. Or if no plans is what you're looking for, I'm an older guy. I can understand that one as well. That being said, guys, let's bounce into our tip of the day. If you haven't caught one of these sessions before, I try to get on here at least a few times a week to do tip of the day. It's just breaking down one of the little idiosyncrasies of daily fantasy sports. There's a lot of them that go into having played this game pretty much every day for the past 5-6 years. You start to pick up on a few of the little extra things you can look at on a daily basis, how they can help you. If you're new to the station, easiest way to get more daily fantasy sports videos, hit that red button that says subscribe. The thumbs up is always appreciated, guys. So if you are nice enough to do that, just know that it means a lot, and thank you very much. We're still running the Patreon drive, guys. Right now, there is a link down there in the description section. For anybody who donates a minimum of $2 via Patreon, 1 out of 8 will win a free monthly membership. So basically, you have a 12.5% shot with a $2 bet to win a $30 monthly membership. Little way to have a little fun. And also wanted to continue to bring this up, guys. I started a second YouTube channel. This is for a lot of my friends out there listening to Wisconsin-based sports, Packers, Bucks, and Brewers. It's an exciting time to talk about them right now. I had a guy on actually yesterday named Josh. We sat around and talked about the Bucks. If you're interested in checking that out, if these are teams you root for, the link to that is down below. Now, let's move into today's tip. And it's talking about checking the schedule on NBA and looking at the back-to-backs, either for the previous or the following night. Now, I get the irony of this. If you're watching this a couple of weeks down the road, it doesn't really matter. But tonight, there's actually a team I like. It's actually my Bucks. There's a few players I like, and they do play again tomorrow. So you got to know if you feel like the coach is going to play to win tonight. And not all players are affected the same on back-to-backs. LeBron, throughout his career, has actually been better on back-to-backs, whereas a guy like Jared Allen of the Brooklyn Nets has struggled on back-to-backs this year. Every player is a little bit different. I brought up last tip of the day, what was it, a website called Basketball Reference. If you need a quick reference point, just go there and look through their game log to see, are their minutes the same, how productive have they been on back-to-backs and things like that. Typically, I get most worried on a tail end of a back-to-back because guys can tend to get tired, especially if there was travel involved, especially if they're playing maybe a competition level that's a little bit higher than them, for example. If there was overtime the night before. We saw Paul George provide in a cherry matchup versus the Sacramento Kings, one of his worst DFS performances in a long time the other night. Why? Because he played a hard-fought double OT game the night before and played 51 minutes. That's just difficult for a player to succeed the next day. It just is. It's a tough spot to be in. So no doubt that one of the game's better players, that was a big part of the reason that he failed. If you have to play 51 minutes the night before, your legs just aren't as fresh the next day, especially this far into a season. Tail ends of a back-to-back in Denver, no thanks. And look at a game last night. Utah Jazz were on the tail end of a back-to-back in Denver. Now, the Jazz played well enough to win the game. But even in that session, it was more about bad Nuggets than good Utah, because it's not like Mitchell was that great. He was okay. Royce O'Neal was a disappointment to a lot of people. We liked Derek Favors, and he was good, but he's a guy who doesn't play big minutes. So that was a reason that we liked him. Joe Ingles was good, but a bunch of the guys, not great. And that was a good representation of a tail end in Denver. With the altitude out there, it's just more difficult to succeed. Now, if you're on the front end of a back-to-back, you have to ask yourself, is the game going to be competitive? Because if the game has a really good opportunity of not being competitive and maybe the game the next day looks like a really good matchup, that's where you really might want to hold off on those guys unless you really truly believe that they're going to see a full run of minutes. Reason being, when coaches get to that gray area, like in the fourth quarter, and say one team's up 101-86 with 9 minutes to go, if they got a game the next day, they might be a little bit more hesitant to run their stars back out there. It might be that spot where they try to hold them off. And then if the team turns that 15 into an 18, a guy like a Giannis or a Westbrook, he may not get back into the game if they have a big game tomorrow. Now, if you expect the game to be highly competitive, NBA coaches will typically do the smart thing, and that is 1 in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. If we have the opportunity to win this game tonight and the game's close, then no harm, no foul. We're going to play to win this game. And then the tail end of the back-to-back the next day really doesn't come into play at all. So you have to be able to try to predict the game script, have a pretty good sports betting angle take on that game of where you think it's going to go. Know the DNA of that team. Are they a team that comes out and takes care of business early, or do they usually play close competitive games? So I think the biggest thing to take out of back-to-backs, like if you're in a coin flip situation, like tonight, Kemba Walker and Kyrie Irving are on the slate. If you like both of them about the same, but one guy plays tomorrow and one doesn't, flip your coin and go with the guy who doesn't play tomorrow. It's just a little extra reason to take a look at the guy who's not playing the next day to get a little bit of that freer leash. Like if Kemba Walker and the Charlotte Hornets are up 16 points with 6 minutes to go, and they don't play again for 3 days, Kemba's coming back into that game. If they're up 16, 17 points with 6 minutes to go against an inferior opponent at home and they play the next day in a big day, like the coach might hold off on him a little bit. Or if he does come back in, they hit a quick 3, then he might pull him. So it's just really a coin flip helper, I guess is the best way to look at it more than anything. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the station, hit that red button that says subscribe. We'll be out with our regular scheduled DFS info shortly. Have a great Friday, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.